The arena lights dimmed to a single spotlight as two legends stepped into the ring that night, carrying decades of martial arts mastery on their shoulders. What unfolded over the next 8 minutes would redefine everything we thought we knew about combat sports. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we revisit the most anticipated crossover fight in martial arts cinema history. When Cynthia Rothrock, the blonde bombshell from Delaware who conquered Hong Kong action films, faced off against Jim Kelly, the Afro-wielding powerhouse who fought alongside Bruce Lee himself. This wasn't just a fight between two actors, this was a collision between two completely different worlds of martial arts philosophy. Rothrock entered that ring carrying credentials that read like a martial arts fairy tale. 5-time world karate champion before she ever stepped foot on a movie set. Her tournament record spoke volumes, over 200 competitive victories, multiple black belts in Tang Soo Do, Taekwondo, and Eagle Claw Kung Fu. But numbers don't tell the whole story. What made Rothrock truly dangerous was her adaptability, her ability to switch between hard linear strikes and flowing circular movements mid-combination. Standing 5'3" but fighting like she was 6 feet tall, Rothrock's signature weapon was her lightning-fast leg work. Those who'd faced her in competition described her kicks as coming from impossible angles, her flexibility allowing her to strike high while maintaining perfect balance. Her weakness, if you could call it that, was her reliance on technical precision over raw power. In the controlled environment of point fighting tournaments, this served her well, but against a street-smart brawler, would technique be enough? The psychological game was equally fascinating. Rothrock had spent years proving herself in a male-dominated industry, first in martial arts competitions, then in Hong Kong cinema, where she earned the respect of legendary directors like Corey Yuen. This wasn't just another fight for her. This was validation of everything she'd worked to achieve. Across the ring stood Jim Kelly, and his presence filled the arena with a different kind of energy entirely. The man who traded punches with Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon brought a street fighting mentality that couldn't be taught in any dojo. Kelly's background was fascinating, a former athlete who discovered martial arts later in life, developing his own hybrid style that blended traditional karate with boxing fundamentals and raw athletic ability. Kelly's physical attributes were intimidating. 6 feet of lean muscle with reach advantages that could keep opponents at bay while delivering devastating counterattacks. His tournament experience was limited compared to Rothrock's, but his real-world application was extensive. Kelly had sparred with some of the toughest fighters of his era, learning lessons that only come from actual combat rather than controlled competitions. What made Kelly particularly dangerous was his unpredictability. While Rothrock fought with textbook precision, Kelly improvised, creating angles and combinations that defied conventional wisdom. His signature move, a spinning back fist that seemed to come from nowhere, had ended several of his previous exhibition matches. His potential weakness lay in his tendency to rely on power over technique, sometimes sacrificing defensive positioning for offensive impact. The mental aspect of Kelly's game was pure confidence. Having held his own against Bruce Lee on screen and in training, he possessed an unshakable belief in his abilities. But would that confidence translate against an opponent who'd systematically dismantled every challenge placed before her? When the bell rang for the first round, both fighters circled cautiously, each studying the other's movement patterns. Rothrock established her rhythm early, throwing quick combinations to test Kelly's reactions. Her footwork was poetry in motion, sliding in and out of range while Kelly tried to time her entries. Kelly's strategy became clear within the first minute. He was going to make Rothrock come to him, using his reach advantage to counter her attacks. The first significant exchange came 2 minutes in. Rothrock launched a beautiful combination, jab, cross, followed by a spinning heel kick that grazed Kelly's shoulder. Kelly's counter was immediate and devastating, a straight right hand that barely missed Rothrock's chin as she weaved backward. The crowd gasped, realizing how close we'd come to an Earl's ending. Round 2 saw both fighters settle into their respective games. Rothrock began working her kicks more consistently, keeping Kelly at bay with front kicks and roundhouse combinations. Her conditioning was evident, each technique thrown with the same snap and precision as the first. Kelly adapted, using his boxing background to slip punches and create openings for his power shots. His jab became a weapon, disrupting Rothrock's timing and setting up his heavier combinations. The turning point came in the 3rd round, and it was a moment of pure athletic brilliance. Rothrock had been building towards something special, and when Kelly threw a lazy jab, she saw her opening. Ducking under the punch, she spun into a picture-perfect wheel kick that connected flush with Kelly's ribs. The impact echoed through the arena, and for a moment, Kelly's knees buckled. But champions are made in moments like these. Instead of folding, Kelly absorbed the shot and immediately pressed forward, catching Rothrock in a clinch before she could fully recover her balance. What followed was 30 seconds of pure chaos, Kelly using his strength advantage to control the tie-up, while Rothrock worked her elbows and knees, each fighter trying to impose their will on the other. The 4th round began with both fighters showing signs of the war they'd been waging. Kelly's movement was slightly more labored, that body shot clearly affecting his mobility. Rothrock, meanwhile, had a cut above her left eye from an accidental clash of heads during the clinch work. Blood was trickling down her face, but her focus remained laser sharp. This was where the fight truly turned. Kelly, perhaps sensing that his power advantage was diminishing as fatigue set in, began taking bigger risks. He threw a wild overhand right that left him completely exposed. Rothrock's counter was instantaneous, a perfectly timed sidekick that caught Kelly flush in the solar plexus, followed immediately by a spinning back fist that snapped his head to the side. The crowd erupted as Kelly staggered backward, clearly hurt but somehow still standing. Rothrock pressed her advantage with a flurry of combinations that showcased 20 years of technical mastery. Her kicks came from every angle, high, low, spinning, jumping, each one finding its mark with surgical precision. Kelly's desperate final surge forced Rothrock into full defensive mode, but superior conditioning proved decisive. Rothrock's crisp combination, jab, cross, jumping sidekick, sent Kelly crashing down. Technical knockout victory for Cynthia Rothrock. Her precision and championship experience ultimately overcame Kelly's raw power, validating both legends' martial arts legacies.